just want to ask each of you, this is the first time we've been back in person at a conference. Can each of us just say briefly, how is this going? How do you feel about this conference? Was there something interesting that you noticed about an in-person conference? So lightning round, I guess I'll start with Troy. What do you think of coming back in person to a conference again?
I think it's great. It's long overdue. In what I used to do previously, I used to do a lot of travel, so I was on the road quite a bit. And one of the things I really enjoyed about COVID is it kept me at home. Right? Turns out I love my wife, I like my kids, I like hanging out with them, and being able to see them more, I thought it was really advantageous. So coming out of the pandemic, I'm a little concerned about travel ramping up in that regard. But coming into conferences like this, I think people are a lot more prone to hugging each other. I think there's a lot more physical contact, which is interesting because we're still in the middle of a pandemic, but there's a lot more hugs, right? A lot more contact. So I think a lot of people have missed that.
I think for me, it's been a lot of the, like, I'll just contrast to like last year, right? So you watch a session, it ends, and then like the conversation stops. There's a lot of value. At least I find a lot of value in, like, as delegates, we all go out to dinner and just chat about this stuff, right? And have that discussion and discourse, and may agree, may argue, may disagree, whatever. But having those conversations, and I think going through that thought process, and I think it helps everybody learn it a little better, and being able to just have those types of dialogues that you don't have when it's all virtual, and when it's done, it just shuts off and it's over. To me, I think that's the most valuable piece.
I think live is way better than virtual. We've had lots of virtual in our lives. I'm a little disappointed, though, in that having a hybrid is actually more difficult. I don't know. I'm not on the other side of Atmosphere. I'm on this side. And it seems like all of the presenters had a more difficult time because they were looking at a series of 4 cameras and a boom camera and 10 people. They were on a TV stage, and they didn't feel like they were talking to people, probably because they couldn't see the people or even hear them. And the jokes would fall flat because no one really could see you because you're behind a camera. And but the only way to have a hybrid is to have the virtual, and of course it's Aruba and HP, and they want to have it highly professionally done. And then you end up putting something in between the presenter and the presentee. And I think part of is getting that you can go up after a presentation and ask questions. Putting it in a chat's nice, but we've been not living in the chat world for years, and I would have rather appreciated just a in-person only, and then everything else can be turned into webinars. Because really, 2 weeks from now, I'm going to go back and watch the videos anyway. That's not really, the learning takes place when you have time to watch the video.
I appreciate the opportunity to meet with peers. I think the presentations are great. That's why we come here. But for me, the value is what happens in between the presentations, what happens in the evenings, talking to people that we haven't seen in a couple of years. You see them online, you see them on the webinars, but these are our people. I think that Aruba did a pretty good job, a very good job with their physical part, aside from the presentations, aside from what Keith said, and I agree with that. But their online app, registration for the sessions, the live location throughout the map. I mean, it's just a difficult place to find a little room in this large building, and you just push a button and you get decent location services, and we look forward to that improving greatly in the future.
I think it's interesting, kind of unfortunate how easy it is to forget how much better it is to receive technical information in person. I mean, it really, like, so many Zooms and other virtual conferences, and it's just so hard to stay engaged in that type of environment. And it's so refreshing to be in person, even if there's cameras in the way, in person with the person presenting the technical knowledge, being able to interact with them after the session, meet up with them outside the room, at lunch, whatever. And on the flip side, it's funny, 40 plus years I've had learning how to be a human and interact with other people. you forget all of that when you're locked in your house for 2 years. And sitting at a lunch table with a bunch of other people, I almost don't know how to have small talk, and it's amazing how quickly all that stuff goes away. But it was very refreshing to have an in-person conference experience.
So I'm going to make this comment, and I may cry when I make this comment. So, and I don't know whether it's the pandemic, or I don't know whether it's the, here we go, Aruba culture. But I think it's the first time I've been to a conference where when I talk to people, they don't assume that I'm stupid and non-technical as a woman. I mean, I don't know what changed. So I just want to share that, and thank you. Now I'm going to cry while you talk.
It's your accent.
It's my accent,
Yeah,
is
it makes you sound very intelligent.
Oh, I tell you. Thank you.
No, I love it. I mean, it's been years, right, since we've been kind of locked up. And so when I got the email, asking if I wanted to be a delegate this year, I was like, oh yeah, it's been a long time. And I've been coming to Atmosphere since the very first one in Mountain View or Cupertino or wherever it was the first year. And just watching it grow has been great. And I just echo what everyone said. I mean, there's just nothing like being in person, being able to ask questions, being able to see old friends. I mean, just nothing beats that. So, yeah.
Absolutely. There's nothing better than being in person. And,
Yeah.
and I have to agree. I think that so many things have been done right with Atmosphere. I think that the biggest thing that's been done right is the community feeling. That's what I always loved about the conference, was that it's small enough that you can run into people that you saw on stage and talk to them in the hallway. They don't vanish. It's not. It's a very friendly environment. The other thing that I've always loved about Aruba was that sort of delightful nerdiness of the community, where almost anyone you talk to is going to want to geek out about something when you run into them. And that's true of the technical people, but it's also true of the salespeople and the partners and everything. And I love that about it as well. I have to agree with what Dr. Salter said. I mean, Aruba has always done an excellent job of respecting the fact that there are women in technology, and these are technical people as well. And this year's Women in Technology track was so oversubscribed that everybody you see here on the panel decided not to go so that we could give up our spaces to someone else who would benefit more than us from that experience. And I appreciate that for you, and I appreciate the fact that that there was that kind of support and interest in the topic of women in technology here at Atmosphere. And finally, I would say that I love the fact that the group has been so embracing of all of us who are here to reflect and discuss and sort of share our opinions back, and so willing to listen and willing to engage. You don't know this, but we've been talking to Aruba now for a few weeks about the presentation content. We saw dramatic changes in the presentation and how things were presented. We saw suggestions that we made appear on the keynote stage today, which is just phenomenal. So there again, it's wonderful to have that kind of dialogue with the company and with the people of the company.